Okay, so you had an enlightenment experience,
Yes.
and like I said, like I think that it's quite relevant, like what your background story is, because I've come across that before. So maybe you can start with telling us a little bit about, yeah, what your history is and how it led you to that.
Yeah, I grew up in Sweden. I raised up in Sweden. It didn't go so well for me in the school. I was always the black sheep in somehow. Always felt outside from everybody else.
But you weren't Swedish, right? So you weren't like, your mother came from Peru, right?
Yeah,
so,
a refugee from Chile, from the Pinochet in the
Chile, right.
80s. And then I come to Sweden when I was very young, and I grew up there with the Swedish mentality and so on, and started to go to school and so on. It didn't go so well for me in the school. I was always the black sheep, so to speak. I was not so interested in any subject, more than athletics, which I have the highest degree.
Well, what do you think that was? What was the kind of like thing that made you different from like the other kids?
I see myself that I was born as a crystal child, which means that you are opening all the chakras and somehow that you have reincarnated in a different level of awareness from the beginning. I always have a different spiritual perspective compared from others, and all my life I felt that there was no really response or understanding of my awareness or my capacity of understanding to different things, and with the school system it didn't fit me at all. I become a rebel instead, I become criminal. I started to do a lot of drugs, overdoing drugs. I really loved in that time to take overdose. I really liked the experience of death, so to speak, and lose my mind and go to the other side, because I never have any limit. I don't understand to stop, because in that time I was very, very impulsive. Finally now today I have a balance and a different structure, how to act in my emotion and so on.
Did you have like any spiritual experiences when you were a kid? Like, did you see ghosts, or do you remember past lives, or did you see auras or anything like that?
No, I like many others that see things or like that. Me, I was more aware in a vibrational awareness, that I could feel what other people need before they know what they need for themselves or whatever. So I never see anything, but I can feel in a long distance, or if there is any tension in a relationship, I can feel when the other is crying, or some kind of telepathy action, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how did kind of like the standard kind of like school framework and you not kind of like mesh? What was it about what you were taught in school that wasn't doing it for you?
I think already when I was young I understand that the system failed in the education system, because if we see how we treat this world today, we don't treat it well, and that's because of a wrong way of education. And I think we should change the education system to, instead that you need to sit so many hours as a child in the age of 6 or 7, which is in Sweden. You should put awareness on each children and capacity, and push them whatever they like. If they are good in athletic, let them be in that field, and not force them to sit and listen to the history class or the maths, which they maybe hate, or and so on. And in the same time, in the school system, there is really no subject like which should be what is a good friend, what is friendship between soul and mind and between each other, to grow a plant. We should have different kind of subject in the school which evolve us to reach a higher level of understanding who we are really, because in the school system there is no subject whatever about the self. What is the self? How do I change myself to be a better version of myself? What is friendship? How do I treat a friend? What is the value of friendship to others or between soul and mind? All this knowledge is lost, and just keep away from to search within, which I already think when I was young in school, that I have understanding that there is really no concrete value of the subject we learn in school, more than to be a good producer in this matrix controlling system world, and be a product or a slave or whatever we call it.
Yeah, it's very two-dimensional, isn't it? The kind of like teaching that they give you, right? It's very...
Yes, and in the same way I think that the teaching is like an indoctrination to keep us in different level of the society, to be a tool, to consume, to be a tool, to produce as much in certain time, and pay our taxes and bill, and be happy with that. And in that point of view, there is no spiritual progress of learning about what you are, how to meditate. We should have subject like meditation and massage in the school, or other things of subject which can bring us more deeper to ourselves. Yes.
Okay, so maybe like the issue as well is like you were the black sheep, so you were fighting or you were like arguing with the other kids, and you always felt angry, and you didn't have something that was like a good exit to get rid of the anger, no?
Yeah, yes, the good exit was to do criminal action, like to steal all the computers in the school,
Yeah.
or whatever kind of teenage things you did in that time, because there is some kind of pain inside yourself to not be accepted, because I raised up like a foreigner or whatever in Swedish societies. You always need to be better than others, or yeah.
And so like your experience with drugs, like you started taking drugs when you were a teenager, like what kind of drugs did you get exposure to, and like did they mess up your life, or did they enhance your life? What did you get out of those drugs?
I remember I started with to order 1 kilo of mushroom and start to sell it, so I have afford to eat as much I want with my friends. And then I went into the ecstasy story.
What did you get out of the mushrooms?
Of the mushroom, connection with the nature, connection with myself, different kind of joy, a friend in somehow. Somebody who understands my own spiritual understanding to this life and so on, compared from regular human or school system or work. Was an output or an input to see through what life is really about. And I think psychedelic is really important to really crack what life is really about. Without psychedelic, I think it's really, really difficult to really crack this kind of illusion we are into. That was the first experience of.
Did you find like they were like good teachers? That's the impression I got. Like the first time I took mushrooms, I didn't take mushrooms. I took truffles. Mm-hmm. It's not quite as strong, but I had the impression that I was meeting like this awesome teacher, you know, just like an incredible way of showing things.
Yes, like I see it in the mushroom, there is a shaman who wants to teach you something.
Yeah.
Compared from synthetic drugs, you teach.
So there's a spirit, right?
There's a spirit who wants to teach you. Same like DMT, which is mother of the universe, or mescaline, which is grandfather of the universe. There is different kind of synthetic element inside the natural kind of psychedelic drugs, who is just here to teach humanity to evolve in consciousness, so we finally can crack this matrix and deep inside ourselves and evolve to a higher consciousness and awareness. Yes.
So then you went to ecstasies. So what
Yeah.
happened with ecstasies? What did that do for you?
Then ecstasy and speed for maybe 4 or 5 years. I was awake from Friday to Sunday or Friday to Monday. I went direct to the work. Was out.
So you didn't sleep at the weekends, basically, right?
Yeah, no.
So you were partying so hard that
Yeah, for
it
4
was
years.
kind of like the speed was to keep you awake, and
For 4
the
years.
ecstasy was to enjoy the weekend.
Yes, for 4 years I did it every weekend.
Wow, that's insane.
And I have it like a loop. And then finally I come in contact with the GHB. GHB is a synthetic drug liquid which you drink, and it's very, very, very easy to overdose. And I started to drink that for 6 years. I have so many overdose, around 10 and 15 overdose inside hospital with the what is the name? EKG, with all this stuff, and I wake up with whatever, and I took it away, and I went away from the hospital, and I went to party immediately with the taxi after and so on. And the ambulance picked me up on all the places, so finally in Gothenburg where I raised up, I was not able to go out anymore. I was abandoned in all places and so on, so I moved out from the
You really did overdo it.
Yes, overdoing like everything else, because I have no limit, no understand to stop, but I don't care. I raised up fearless in somehow. So I don't have any bottom, and I like to have this overdose. I like to overdo my capacity to see where I can go and so on.
Yeah.
Finally I went to, from Gothenburg I went to Stockholm. I studied web design for 1 year. I went into the speed quite hard. Shortcut story, I was awake 11 days. I ended up in psychic hospital. I went back to my mother place, to my teenage room. I was sitting there in a room without looking on the TV or reading books or anything, just sitting on the floor for 3 weeks. I lost 18 kilo. And when something like this happens, when you overdo in such amount, like to be awake 11 days, you're screaming for help. There's something really, really wrong with you, deep inside yourself. And the main issue is the love for yourself. That you don't love yourself, that you don't accept your position in this life, in this society, environment, on this planet. So in the end of the day, now when I can see back, I see it like I tried to suicide myself to be awake so much because I didn't have the courage to put a gun and take my life. So finally, and I was just sleeping few hours, maybe 5-6 hours a week in these 3 weeks after, and finally I was given something to sleep from the psychic hospital. I slept for 2 weeks non-stop, and then I was giving money from the insurance company. This is 13 years back, maybe 15 years back even, so it's really a past story. I was giving money from insurance company, and then I asked myself a question: what makes me happy? Because it was like the universe took me in a black hole, really in a black hole, away from everything about life and whatever. I didn't care anything, I didn't care if I die. And the answer was that traveling is what I love.
So you really hit rock bottom, that was it, right?
Yeah.
That was like the lowest point in your life, right there, right?
Yeah. Yes, the deepest level of, like I see it was like the universe wanted to take me in a black hole and just finish my life, but I didn't want to put the trigger. So anyhow, I get insurance money. I bought me a 70-liter backpack. I went to India for the first time, I think it was 2002, 2003, with an empty backpack. I spent 6 months there. I didn't speak with anybody because I lost all my social capacity. I just put my awareness like half meter, 1 meter around me. If somebody come too near, I just go away. I didn't want to be in communication with anybody. And then end of the journey, I was searching for a school in Sweden for 1 year, international relationship, and I went there. I have a room in the school. I spent 1 year there. I started to get back my social competence. I was giving new kind of friends compared from my old habits and my old friends. Then I went to India again after the school, and then I started to meet people. I started to interact. I started to be a little bit more social. I was not the shy guy in the corner in the room who was just observing, but still I have a very high level of anxiety from this 11 days of darkness experience I went through. And then one day in March 2005, full moon, I was asking myself and talking to the universe, how more pain I'm gonna go through. I learned everything, that I did mistake. I just want to be a better version of myself and do the best of my own capacity now. I cannot learn anything more. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then I met one girl. She recently become a Reiki master. She gave me spiritual symbol of the 3rd level for the Reiki initiation, and I didn't know anything about Reiki, meditation, healing, mantra, yantra, tantra, nothing in the spiritual path. The next day after, it was full moon. I remember I went to my bungalow because I started to feel the feeling of Satori experience. Satori experience is a experience when you are in the present here and now, which can give you ability to hear in long distance, and you can see what it is, and different kind of supernatural powers that you just hear and now. Everything is totally different, and I have it for 4 times before. Before, and I know if I go and smoke a little bit hash, I raise this frequency vibration of this energy, and I can let it last for longer time, up to 1 hour. I can be in this sphere of present time. So I was laying down on the.
It's hyper awareness, right?
Yes, and Satori is something from the Zen Buddhism, and regularly this happen. What I understand, few times, like 3 to 5 times before you get the enlightenment, or you manifest your Kundalini power of awakening inside yourself. It's like a small taste of enlightenment, what will come in the future, which I found out after, of course. So what's happened, I went to this bungalow, laying down in my bed, I smoked my chillon, and I started to vibrate in a high frequency. I didn't know what's happened. I was laying down on the bed, and I started to shake, and I started to jump, and my body was jumping maybe 20 centimeters or whatever from the bed, like epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was aware, but I couldn't do anything with my body, and I just looked at my body, and I just, what the fuck, I'm gonna fucking die, man, I'm gonna fucking die. I remember how I was speaking to myself, I'm gonna fucking die, man, I'm gonna fucking die. And then I just hear a voice who told me, let go, surrender, something like that, letting go, surrender. And I just look at my hands, I'm gonna fucking die, I'm gonna fucking die. And when I hear this voice of surrendering or letting go, I just open up my hands and I just surrender to this energy of shaking, and then a vortex of energy come like a beam of light through my crown chakra, and there was such a sound of so it come through the throat chakra down to the third eye and the throat, and down to the heart, and when it penetrate each chakra, it was like. And then finally, I have this anxiety from these 11 days of darkness in my Manipura chakra, in my, what is the point here?
here, yeah.
Solar plexus.
Solar plexus.
The solar plexus, where I have this deep anxiety which took away everything from my real self, and then the beam of light met this black point of anxiety, or the black hole of the universe, in such a sound of and I just explode, and I just become like a 10,000 suns of explosion. I just enter into something which I call it an ocean of light, and I was looking in this ocean of light in golden color, and in this ocean of light without physical form, I was standing in the center. I was the center of the universe, where all reflection come from, light, and then I come back to this body, and then I realize what I am. I am that I am, and that changed my life forever into a high spiritual path. I went to Rishikesh because I told a friend, a man, Moksha, I have been to India for 12 years, and I told him about my experience, how this beam of light come through the crown chakra and down, and how the explosion have been. And he told me your Kundalini is activated, and I didn't know about Kundalini, yoga, Reiki, or anything of these spiritual tools which is available out there. I don't read books because I cannot sit still, and I have a little bit difficult with words and so on. And why he could confirm it, because he have his Kundalini 12 years before he told me. So he have understanding, and he told me, yeah, you need to get help, and he told me that you can go to Rishikesh, and Rishikesh is just in the beginning of Himalaya in India, where all the yoga center and all the spiritual ashrams and societies headquarter is, so to speak, Rishikesh and Haridwar. So I went there, I arrived in Rishikesh. I went, Rishikesh is near Ganga river, and there was one chai shop. I spent 7 days from morning to evening near this chai shop. I was just sitting there and speak about the realization I have, about the truth, about this illusion we're going through and so on. And finally one Naga Baba come. Naga Baba is a certain divine being, the immortal ones who always have been walking here on earth, a highly saluted group of immortal yogis or warrior monk. The highest spiritual group in India who controlling the Dharma. The Dharma is the true story on earth, which 1% belong to, so to speak, a society of enlightened beings or avatars or manifested souls. He told me, okay, I have an understand of your experience and I can help you. And I asked him, so you can really help me? Yes, you can help me. If you follow me to my ashram, I will help you. And the first question I asked him, or my reply was that, okay, I know there is 10 different spiritual groups in India. If your group is not the highest one, I will not come with you. And then he told me, yes, we are Naga Baba's highest one. And then I come with him, and then I start to wear orange, I start to live Baba life. Yes.